What's up guys, this is another crossover. I'm back with a new episode of What of Naruto was the Red Flash part 36, and if you did enjoy the video, give this video a like, and if you're new to my channel and like my content, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more crossover fictions. Now let's begin this new video.
Earth 899, Chapter 8 Part 8 of the Multiverse Adventure. Naruto was using the Speed Force to get from Earth 17,654 to Earth 1, or at the very least, Earth 2. He was sprinting through the multiversal superhighway that connected the Earths, and it felt like he was running down a long, black tunnel, but instead of being dark, it was a huge panorama of blue and white. Gideon's research suggested that the tachyon barrier created when the black hole collapsed was what kept Naruto from returning to his Earth and pushed him further away, but if he got close enough, he might be able to figure out another way through. As he ran through the multiverse, he caught glimpses of various planets but kept his gaze fixed on home. He saw a world with intelligent apes in command, similar to Planet of the Apes, another that was animated in an anime style, and a young child with green hair fighting supervillains in a city. Another world was animated, with gigantic naked creatures attacking a walled city and people fighting them in special harnesses, and he saw another animated world with a person with spiky hair like his but black. He was riding on a yellow cloud while wearing an orange, blue gi. Naruto kept running, and he could spot some speedsters as he got further away from Earth 17,654 and closer to his portion of the multiverse. He noticed a white lightning track passing through a metropolis on one Earth in particular. Said lightning trail resembled his but was only white, whereas his was white and scarlet. He got a fleeting glimpse of the speedster but didn't see anything. The reason for this was that the speedster appeared to be wearing full-body Speed Force armor, which obscured his image. It made it difficult for him to see the costume or whatever was inside the mask, but he did note the eyes were black, as if from a mask or cowl. He swears he saw the mystery speedster stare in his general way, as if he was looking straight at him, as he ran past the Earth. The unknown speedster then managed to open a breach from his Earth and tackle Naruto, much to his surprise. The two landed on another planet after crashing out of the multiversal highway. Earth 1000 Impulse and the unknown speedster plummeted out of the gap, rolling on the ground before it closed. Naruto looked up to find the mysterious speedster on the ground, but it was the surroundings that attracted his attention. They were in some kind of dense jungle setting with strange plants and high humidity when they heard a bird caw and looked up to realize it wasn't a bird but a pteranodon. He and the mystery speedster ended up to some type of dinosaur planet, which was confirmed when he witnessed a big Tyrannosaurus Rex nibbling on the carcass of a deceased dinosaur. He couldn't tell what kind it was because he couldn't get a clear look, but the enormous carnivore was eating heartily. He stood up fast and shot his suit out of his ring to change, finishing just as the unknown speedster got up, so he took off sprinting. The unknown speedster pursued and swiftly rocketed up, allowing the two to sprint side by side. Naruto was punched in the side, but he landed an elbow to the guy's head, allowing him to grab him by the suit and slam him into the massive leg of the T-Rex. The big dinosaur roared angrily at them before the speedster pushed back and they continued running through the forest, ultimately gaining enough speed to go through another breach. Earth 985 Naruto and the speedster leapt from the gap and raced through the city, which appeared to be under attack. It was animated, something Naruto was already familiar with, but it was under alien attack by strange green-skinned aliens emerging from red portals. They were murdering people, but some human heroes in strange outfits were fighting back. There was an orange metal robot, a girl in a pink outfit, and a guy in a blue, yellow, and black costume who was being kicked in the snot. Naruto passed by and hit the large alien punching the hero, with him and the speedster sprinting so quickly that their shockwaves sent the aliens flying everywhere and helping the human heroes fight the invasion. Naruto opened another breach, and the speedster pursued him until the opening closed. Earth 925 Naruto and the speedster emerged in another animation universe that looks dated but was just concerned with racing away. He did notice a green van with the words mystery machine and a large dog, so he might guess where he was before opening up another breach. Earth 915 The speedsters came across another cartoon Earth and observed a bald-headed man dressed in what appeared to be a homemade superhero suit with a white cape. He punched a massive monster in the face, causing it to explode into chunky bits. Earth 905 Naruto then emerged on another animated Earth, but this one was more video game animated than cartoon animated. He and the speedster raced through a war-torn city, encountering a variety of extraterrestrial or altered monsters. Some appeared to be robotic people, while others appeared alien, and he swears he saw one that resembled Banshee from Mass Effect 3. That's when a red flashing energy missile hit the Earth and launched them into the air. The speedster collided into a demolished structure, but Naruto fell to the ground. Shit. He held his side in anguish as he looked up and observed what appeared to be a destroyed Big Ben in the distance, indicating that he was in London. He heard some rumbling in the distance, as well as explosions and gunfire. He stood up and noticed some people on a building's top, so he put on his goggles to get a better look and realized who they were because they were quite memorable. There was the Turian Garrus Vicarian, the blue Asari Liara Tizoni, and while he couldn't see the human's face, the obvious N7 symbol on the breast told him who it was. Shepard, this would be awesome if I wasn't being chased by a speedster. When Naruto noticed the white lightning trail closing in on him, he took off running, with the speedster hot on his tail, while Shepard, Liara, and Garrus resumed their mission. Naruto knew the speedster would follow him, and he couldn't risk bringing him any closer to his Earth or Earth 2, so he had to get rid of him. He was concentrating on opening a breach when he had an epiphany. He kept running through the city until he came to a flat enough clearing made by the Reaper's destruction. The speedster kept after Naruto and saw the gap ahead of them, so he ran after him. At the last second, Naruto swerved to the side and dashed through the gap, the mystery speedster slipping to a halt just before he went through. Naruto took advantage of the opportunity to run in a circle and charge up before unleashing a lightning bolt. It knocked the unknown speedster through the breach, which closed once he was knocked through. Phew. Oh, thank God that worked, Naruto exclaimed as he knelt and took a few long breaths. But before he could rest or ask questions, he sensed something behind him and noticed all of the ambient light go away, to be replaced by a red glow. He carefully turned around to see a massive Reaper staring him down before letting out its signature deafening cry. Oh, shit. As the Reaper's eyes blazed red and launched its energy beam at him, Naruto rushed off running as fast as he could, immediately opening a breach. The gap opened up, and Naruto plunged in when the beam came up behind him, knocking him off his feet but allowing him to pass through in one piece. He was gone after a near escape. Earth 899 Naruto emerged from a blue gateway on an open area. He attempted to gain his footing but was moving too quickly, slipping on a boulder and landing flat on his face in the ground. He had a taste of grass and muck. The bane of every speedster in the multiverse. Rocks, Naruto said, pulling his head out of the dirt. That's going to take a lot of mouthwash to get rid of that taste. Naruto rose up and noticed that his suit was soiled with mud, so he began vibrating, causing the dirt and muck to slide off. He was sparkling clean after a few seconds. I'll remember that from now on, he mumbled as he looked around to see if he could spot the mysterious speedster. Gideon, do you have any idea who that speedster was? I'm afraid not, she said, but I'm not detecting any speed force energy, so whoever it was didn't follow you here. He exhaled a sigh of relief. He looked around, picturing himself in a big open field with mountains in the distance and a dirt road leading west. The question now is, Gideon, where am I? What planet am I on? You appear to be on Earth 899, but that is all I can tell you because this is an Earth you have never visited in the future, Gideon explained. As he looked about, Naruto thought to himself, great, so I'm running blind around here. I'm not sure what it is, but this place looks very familiar, I just can't put my finger on it. Familiar how? Gideon pondered. Naruto responded, like I've seen it before. Gideon, where's the nearest heat signature? Gideon informed him, there appears to be one closing in from the east. Naruto slipped on his goggles and zoomed out to see a horse-drawn wagon on the road. What the? Naruto blinked several times to make sure he wasn't hallucinating. Wow, I'm in medieval territory. Naruto returned his suit to his ring and signaled to the old guy in the wagon. Good morning, stranger. Are you lost? The old man said. You could say that, Naruto responded, noticing the strange stares the old guy was giving him. Is there something wrong? I'm sorry, but your clothes are a little unusual, the old man explained. Naruto examined his Nike running sneakers, black jeans, red t-shirt, gray and white zipper coat, long-sleeve jacket hoodie, and then the old man's rags, which appeared to be from medieval times. You're not from around here, are you? No, I'm not. Could you tell me where here is? Naruto inquired. We're just south of the Bloody Gate, and you're on the high road out of the Eyrie, the elderly man said, as both the Bloody Gate and the Eyrie drew Naruto's attention. You hit your head or something? No, I got separated from my friends and awoke here, Naruto explained. Oh, mountain savages got them, huh? The elderly man said, "You're not the first, but you're lucky to be alive. If you want, I'm going to an inn. Maybe you can figure out where to go next." "Thank you," Naruto said as he climbed aboard the wagon, and the old man went on his way. "I'm Naruto." "Naruto? That's a strange name. Call me Aldous," Aldous responded. "I've never seen anyone like you. I'm guessing you're not from around here, but with your hair color, you could pass for a Lannister. Are you Tywin Lannister's bastard?" "I'm sorry, did you say Tywin Lannister?" Naruto inquired, to which Aldous replied with a nod. "Aye. Hand of the King, well, former Hand of the King. Word spread that he's dead. Good riddance if you ask me," Aldous remarked, and Naruto realized where he was. "I'm in Westeros, aren't I?" "Aye, strange man, is your memory returning?" Aldous inquired. Naruto mumbled, "Yeah, sort of. Tyrion Lannister killed Tywin, correct?" Aldous assured him, "Aye, and fled King's Landing. Holy freaking frack. I'm in Game of Thrones, and Cisco is going to be so envious when I tell him. I'm definitely staying a little longer," Naruto thought to himself, mentally applauding whoever created the multiverse and congratulating them for creating a world where Game of Thrones is genuine. Charlie was going to freak out when he returned to see her in the Winchesters. Granted, he needed to figure out the multiversal travel stuff first. "Are you from Essos or something? I've never met one before," Aldous inquired. "No, I'm actually from further west of Westeros," Naruto lied, thinking quickly. "There's more land out there. I thought it was just open sea past the Iron Islands," Aldous was surprised to hear Naruto say. "You'd be surprised how big the world is. My friends and I ventured here, but I got separated, and I've been trying to find my way back when you found me. I'm just glad my memory is returning," Naruto said. "Aye, and it's a good thing I came along too. There's a lot of unsavory folks out these days. Lannisters, Freys, Boltons. The whole lot of them." Aldous spit out their names with contempt. "Please tell," Naruto answered, and Aldous began telling him everything he knew about the stories and rumors disseminated by the small folk. Naruto guessed he was in Season 5 of the show based on what Aldous informed him, and this universe seemed to fit the plot thus far. Naruto was relieved because he knew the show by heart and had all of the episodes on his phone, but he was curious whether there were any parts from the book mythology here as well. That's when he started mentally kicking himself because the Thawne wormhole incident occurred before Episode 8, Hardhome, aired back home. It sucked for two reasons. One, it was meant to be a fantastic episode, and second, he had no idea how Season 5 concluded or where things went after that. The wagon ride was long but pleasurable, and they arrived at a huge inn after about an hour. "Well, here we are," Aldous said, pulling up the cart and tying his horse to a post. "Thank you, Aldous, and please allow me to treat you to something to eat," Naruto said. "I'd like that," he said. Naruto and Aldous entered the inn, which was bustling with customers. "How can I help you, sirs?" inquired a young innkeeper. Table for two, please," Naruto said, nodding as she led them to a free table. "2 ales and some stew," Aldous said, and the woman nodded and poured them 2 cups of ale. "Cheers, and I hope you find your friends and make your way home soon." "Cheers to that," Naruto said as he clinked his mug and took a sip. The brew was actually quite tasty, and even though it was alcoholic, it had no effect on him, so he drank it all in one go. "Whoa there, friend. Don't drink too much too quickly," Aldous said. "Don't be concerned. I've had worse," Naruto said as the maid returned with 2 bowls of stew and some bread. They dug in, and despite its appearance, it was actually quite excellent. Perhaps the food on Game of Thrones isn't all that horrible, or perhaps Naruto's stomach got to the point where it didn't care what it ate as long as it was food. Who can say? Naruto had just finished his stew and was sipping his ale when he saw a ruckus in the adjacent dining area. He cast a glance out the window and spotted some soldiers in armor hurrying out, each bearing the symbol of House Aaron. He stood up and headed over to see Peter Baelish and Sansa Stark in a booth, guarded by 2 knights, while the others hurried out the tavern's door. He remembered this scene from the 2nd episode of the 5th season. Before heading to Moat Cailin and back to Winterfell, Pod and Brienne stopped at the tavern where Sansa and Baelish were. When he saw Baelish at the booth, with his smug and arrogant expression as he sat across from Sansa, knowing what he had done to her and her family and what he was about to do, he wanted to walk right up to him and punch him in the face. A barmaid pushed by him, causing him to pause and reconsider his decision. Naruto could tell he was a stranger here by the peculiar looks he was getting from the diners, so he strolled back over to the table. Is everything alright? Aldous said, and Naruto paused for a second before responding. Yeah, because I remembered why I'm here. Naruto had spent an unknown amount of time roaming the multiverse and assisting people. From Kara to Sam and Dean, and even the animated Justice League, he aided them when he arrived, and this world would be no different, but he'd have to reconsider his typical technique and devise a new one. And that is? Oddies inquired. Helping people, Naruto said as he unlocked his pack and placed a gold coin on the table. Is that enough to cover the cost of the meal? Aldous was taken aback when he saw him whip out a gold coin like it was nothing, but he managed a nod. I think so. Good. Here. Naruto walked over to Aldous and handed him more gold money and jewels. Thank you for the ride and meal. Don't spend it all at once and keep it safe. Naruto patted him on the shoulder and went out, leaving Aldous stunned before concealing the gold and diamonds on his person. Odd fellow, he remarked before returning to his lunch, none the wiser. Naruto dashed out of the tavern, only to discover a dead soldier on the ground, the one Brienne had murdered as she and Pod rode away. He snatched the man's dagger and sword before flying north, following the recent horse trails. He remembered from the program when Pod and Brienne became separated, and she chose to save him rather than go after Sansa. Perhaps saving Pod is the way to get Brienne to listen to him. He sped down the dirt road until he spotted Pod in the distance, unarmed and without a horse, and one of Belish's guards in front of him, at which point he made his move, slowing down to regular speed. Get down! Yelled Naruto, and Pod dodged. Naruto leapt off Pod's back and tackled the soldier off the horse. The two collided, but Naruto immediately rose to his feet as the soldier slashed at him and missed. He kept stabbing, but Naruto kept shifting and avoiding. When Brienne rode by and engaged in a sword duel, he noticed the other soldier galloping towards him. Naruto disarmed the soldier, struck him in the breastplate so hard that it dented the metal, kicked out his left leg, and then kneed him in the face, knocking him unconscious. Brienne slashed the soldier across the chest and ran her blade through his neck, splitting his sword in half. She wiped her sword on her shirt before turning to see Podrick approached by a stranger. You okay? Yes, Pod said as Naruto extended his hand and helped him up. Thank you. Don't bring it up, Naruto said, smiling. You may lay down your sword, Lady Brienne. I am not your adversary. That remains to be seen, she said, turning around to find her pointing Oathkeeper directly at his face. Naruto sighed before laying down the dagger and sword and lifting his hands to show he wasn't armed. Who exactly are you? My name is Naruto Namikaze, and it won't sound familiar to either of you because I'm not from Westeros or Essos. Naruto explained. I'm not from anywhere you know, but trust me when I say I'm on your side. And what side would that be? Brienne inquired, motioning for Podrick to approach her. The kind who wants to keep Sansa Stark safe, Naruto explained as Brienne and Podrick exchanged glances. I know you were riding away because of what happened in the tavern, and I know these men work for Littlefinger. You tried to tell Sansa that you were sworn to protect her, but Belish turned her doubt and hesitation against you, resulting in this little scuffle. How do you know this? Brienne inquired. Because I was there, too, having a nice meal when it happened, he explained. You make quite a lot of noise. Brienne inquired, Pod, do you know his name or face? No, Pod answered, my lady and I would remember. His hair is blonde enough. He could be a Lannister, Brienne said, and Naruto only seemed upset that he was thrown in with them. If you're going to accuse everyone with blonde hair of being a Lannister, that house would encompass half the globe, Naruto pointed out. Besides, what Lannister has 6 distinct scars on his face and dresses like he's not from here? Then where are you from? Brienne inquired, sighing. They were going around and around in circles. Naruto would tell her the truth, but she wouldn't grasp that he's a speedster from another planet who has been roaming the multiverse, and that this world is the real-life version of his favorite program. He sought the perfect Game of Thrones response. I'm from nowhere of consequence, but I was sent here on a mission, Naruto explained, making up words as he talked. What mission? Brienne inquired, and he swiftly responded with another nonsense response. To assist you and a select group of others in navigating the coming dark times, Naruto said as he realized that employing the old gods or 7 might be the best way to persuade others. Because this was the technological Dark Ages, a scientific response was not going to aid him. But because these people believed in their gods, that could be a method to get them to trust him. That, as well as his behavior. If either of you believes in any of the gods, they sent me. Do you really expect us to believe that? She cynically inquired. I can prove it, I have knowledge and abilities that no ordinary person should have because the gods bestowed them on me, Naruto said, making it up as he went. I know things about both of you that no one else does, for example, how Pod came to be your squire. Really? I'd love to hear how you know. Brienne thought the whole idea was ridiculous, as did the man in front of her. Pod went to see Tyrion soon after he was falsely imprisoned for Joffrey's murder, and you managed to smuggle candles, a quill, parchment, duck sausage, almonds, and some hard cheese. Tyrion asked you about Shay, but you heard nothing, and you told him about his trial. Before you left, you told Tyrion that someone came to you and said that if you testified against him, you would have been named Ser Podrick Payne and lied it was a private conversation between the two, and Naruto remembered every detail. Brienne, you were with Jaime in the Kingsguard room, reading his page in the Book of the Brothers. He gave you that sword and told you it was reforged from ice, the ancestral Valyrian steel sword of House Stark. He told you to use it to protect Catelyn Stark's daughters and to keep them safe. He also gave you that armor and then Podrick as a squire, saying that it was to keep him safe. Brienne and Pod were both surprised and concerned that Naruto knew all of this. Only they, Jaime, and Bronn were present throughout those chats. How could you possibly know all of that? Pod inquired. Brienne instantly silenced him with Pod. You made camp shortly after your journey, and Pod ended up catching the rabbit on fire because he didn't remove the skin. He'd never cooked rabbit before, and he'd never cooked anything for Tyrion because it was the cook's job, Naruto said. Have I proven my unique insight into both of you enough to allow us to have a civil conversation without a sword pointed at my head? Brienne lowered her blade and sheathed it, her gaze fixed on the odd figure in front of her. And I'm supposed to believe that you know all of these things because of your so-called gift. You could just be a spy master like Varys or Bellish. Not a bad idea, but they couldn't go into the detail I did. But perhaps another insight into your past to show you both I'm telling the truth? Naruto explained. About how Pod became a squire for Tyrion because his previous one got drunk and stole a ham. He was executed, and you would have been too, but Tywin Lannister found out your name and sent you to squire for Tyrion. As for you, Brienne, how about the truth about how you ended up serving Renly Baratheon? When you were a girl, your father held a ball for you to find a match for his only living child, and he invited dozens of young lords to Tarth, and you didn't want to go but you were forced to. The young lords seemed fine, and the night seemed great until you noticed a few of the boys snickering and laughing because. Brienne froze for a split second after hearing what Naruto said. Nobody else was aware of it. You were there the night he was killed, as was Lady Catelyn Stark, and a demon. Black as the night and bellowing like smoke appeared in the tent with Stannis' face. And it stabbed him in the heart, Naruto explained. There is nothing more heinous than failing to protect those you love. Brienne took a time to herself to process what she had just heard. Naruto seems to be speaking the truth. I'm sorry if I dragged up painful memories, but it was the only way to get you both to listen. I'm telling you the truth. I'm on your side, and I'm here to help, he vowed. Your gift may have some merit. But that doesn't mean we believe you, Brienne stated as Naruto sighed heavily. Seriously? Okay, you want more proof of my abilities? Fine. Watch this. Naruto flashed with lightning before disappearing in the blink of an eye and rushing past Brienne and Pod, causing a surge of wind that startled the horse. Before Naruto came in front of them, Pod noticed that the two men and their horses had vanished. How about that? Says the author. Pod declared, I'm a believer now. You might want to start with that next time, Brienne said. But why have the gods deemed us worthy of their assistance? It's not like that. They gave me my gifts along with all the information and history of what has happened these years, and when I asked what I was supposed to do, they told me to find my own way and let my path guide me, Naruto explained. If people believed him now, he must have gotten fairly skilled at acting. I found my way to the tavern and there you were, along with Sansa Stark, who is under Bellish's control and has no idea how much trouble she is in. Bellish can't be trusted with her, and luckily I know where he's taking her. Where? Brienne inquired. Bellish is taking her north, he explained, first through Moat Cailin and then back to Winterfell. That's ridiculous. The Boltons control Winterfell, so why would he take her there? Brienne questioned. All part of his plan. He marries her to Roose Bolton's son Ramsay for his own alliance behind Cersei's back. He'll soon be called back to King's Landing where, ever the faithful servant, he'll tell her that Sansa is alive and is set to marry the son of the Warden of the North, giving Roose all the legitimacy he wants to rule. Cersei, being Cersei, will want her head, but he wants to be named Warden of the North in exchange for his loyal service to her. Littlefinger is many things, including manipulative and opportunistic. Chaos is a ladder, and he thrives on chaos more than you realize. Pod, get your horse. We'll follow Sansa, Brienne said, and he nodded, hastily mounting his horse. Are you coming along with us? I'll meet you outside Winterfell. I have some other matters to attend to, Naruto answered, taking the blade and dagger from the ground and fleeing in a flash of lightning. I can't believe they actually bought that whole blessed by the gods thing. Well, if the show is any indication, it'll take them and Sansa some time to get north, which gives me some time to do my own meddling. First stop, the Mother of Dragons. Naruto bolted east and began racing over the narrow sea, on his route to Meereen.
This is going to be so cool. Cisco is going to be so jealous when I tell him, and Charlie is going to go insane, Naruto thought to himself. And it's not just the actress who plays her, it's actually Daenerys Targaryen brought to life. Oh man, I've got to get a picture for Linda. Wait, does this mean I can use my free pass? It was for Emilia Clarke who played Daenerys, but it's not an actress. It's really her. This is confusing.
Meereen. Naruto raced at peak speed, calculating that Meereen was approximately 5,000 miles from where he was in Westeros, and that at top speed, he'd arrive in roughly half an hour. It was roughly equivalent to jogging from New York City to Tokyo. Impulse can handle it. Naruto skidded to a halt outside of town, and it was breathtaking. Both the show and the literature did not do it credit. You have to see it for yourself. Granted, you can't because it's a work of fiction, but this was the next best thing. Naruto quickly got out his phone and began photographing the gate as well as snapping selfies. He was about to walk in when his tummy rumbled, and he remembered what happened on Earth 21, where he didn't have ready access to massive amounts of food. He would confront the same issue here, but he was more prepared. He unlocked his bag and took out the little box containing all 10,000 high-calorie speedy energy bars that he had shrunk with his Pym particle shrinking beam. They were divided into groups of 100, so he pulled one out and used his shrink ray to return them to their original size. He then dashed into town to get a spare sack to put them in because they wouldn't all fit in his pack with everything else he was carrying. He strolled towards Meereen, tying the sack to his pack and eating one of the energy bars to help fill him up after the soup and bread. He began photographing more people and places, which received strange looks from the locals. He looked about, and the place appeared tranquil enough, but Naruto knew it would soon turn into a madhouse with the Sons of the Harpy at work. Naruto intended to assist Daenerys with her situation and offer her advice on how to be a better ruler and save Barristan Selmy, a great character ruined by poor writing decisions. Granted, that was based on this show playing the same canon, which was difficult to say. Naruto was walking along a main street when he noticed the Great Pyramids of Meereen and the three-headed dragon banner blowing in the wind on top. When Naruto noticed a little food stand, he thought to himself, time to go say hello to the Mother of Dragons. Then again, some extra food for the metabolism is always a good thing. Naruto spent a single gold coin on roast fish, bread, and a roast rabbit on a stick. Or so it was meant to be. The proprietor of the stand praised him profusely, and Naruto was given additional food. He wasn't sure what he was eating, which was a little bland considering this world's lack of culinary arts, but roasted meat and bread were always nice. As he approached the Great Pyramid, he noticed some Unsullied stationed outside, much like the Royal Guard of Buckingham Palace. He was about to talk to one of the guards after finishing the roast fish when he came to a halt. Crap. Now I'm starting to wish I took up Cisco on his Valyrian sessions, Naruto grumbled, drawing a few weird looks from the Unsullied guards. Unsullied, I wish to talk. Now, he blurted out a few Valyrian words he remembered, not knowing what he was saying. One of the guards informed him, we speak the common tongue. Oh, well, why didn't you just say so? Anyway, my name is Naruto Namikaze, and I'd like to speak with the queen. I can help her with the Sons of the Harpy and her current situation. The guards exchanged glances before one of them dispatched a messenger to the queen. You must wait here, the guard said. Fine by me, Naruto said as he sat against the pyramid, digging into the rabbit. Hungry? I think it's rabbit. The guards reverted to their stoic posture and stayed vigilant. Note to self, Unsullied aren't talkers. Naruto ate some of the rabbit and bread as he waited to see what occurred and if Daenerys would grant him an audience. Before getting into a fight, try to handle this diplomatically first. But, given his luck, a fight was inevitable. The Mother of Dragons was discussing the recent capture of a member of the Sons of the Harpy with her little council. He was in a cell, and they were contemplating their best course of action for the future. Sons of the Harpy, they want to put a collar back on my neck, on all our necks, Massador pleaded her. Daenerys stated, it would send a message. Ser Barristan advised her, I think you should exercise restraint, Your Grace. Why? For one thing, he could have valuable information, Barristan said. Dario Naharis observed, the son of the Harpy has no more valuable information. And how would you know? Questioned Barristan. Dario responded, because I questioned him. And from what you know, he's young and poor, Hisdar Zo Lorak remarked. Massador told him, he is born free. Why should he want to bring back slavery? What did it do for him? Hisdar wondered. Perhaps the only thing that gave him pride was knowing that someone lower than him existed, Daenerys speculated. They pay him. Rich families are afraid to do anything, so they pay a poor man to do it for them, Massador explained. And how do you know this? Hisdar questioned. He responded, everyone knows this. I don't know it, and I'm the head of a wonderful family, Hisdar admitted. We don't know what this man did or didn't do. Give him a fair trial. Show all of Meereen that you are better than the people who would depose you. Show them a better way, Ser Barristan encouraged her. I don't know where old Ser comes from. I hope things are different there, but here in Meereen, before Daenerys Stormborn, they own us. So, we learn a lot about them or we don't live long. They teach me what they are. Mercy, fair trial. These mean nothing to them. All they understand is blood, Massador said, and his words seemed to sway her. Thank you all for your advice, she remarked as everyone but Ser Barristan stood up to leave. Your Grace, a word please, I beg you. About what? She inquired. About your father and the Mad King, Barristan explained. The Mad King? She asked. You're here to remind me of my enemy's lies, consider me reminded. Your Grace, I served in his Kingsguard, and I was by his side from the beginning. Your enemies did not lie, he assured her, and she decided to listen. Go on. When the people rose in revolt against him, your father set their towns and castles aflame. He murdered sons in front of their fathers. He burned men alive with wildfire and laughed as they screamed. And his efforts to stamp out dissent led to a rebellion that killed every Targaryen except 2. I'm not my father, she insisted. No, Your Grace. Thank the gods, but the Mad King gave his enemies the justice they deserved, and each time it made him feel more powerful and right. Until the very end. He said, and she realized what he was attempting to warn her against, concerning not following in her father's footsteps. I will not have the son of the Harpy executed without a fair trial, she declared, and Ser Barristan nodded, pleased that he could help her. Missandei then entered the room and cleared her voice to draw her attention. Forgive me, Your Grace, but the Unsullied said there is a strange man seeking an audience with you. His name is Naruto Namikaze, and he claims to be here to help you deal with the Sons of the Harpy. I've never heard of such a name, Ser Barristan, she inquired, but he shrugged. Neither have I, Your Grace, and it could be a trap, he speculated. That's correct. Where is this man now? He's currently outside the Great Pyramid, being watched by the Unsullied, and they mentioned that he's a rather odd man dressed strangely, Missandei explained. Take his weapons and have him patted down and brought into the throne room in chains. Bring Grey Worm and Dario as well. I'm not taking any chances. Missandei nodded and bowed before departing. Naruto sat against the pyramid after eating his breakfast and was now re-watching Game of Thrones Season 5 episodes on his phone. He reasoned that he needed a means to pass the time, so why not re-watch the events he'd be attempting to avoid? He was watching it at 4x regular speed, with the volume turned down and the captions turned on, because he thought a guy looking at a small device was less strange than actual noise originating from that item. The Unsullied still gave him strange looks. He had been waiting for about an hour when the guard approached him. We'll take you to Queen Daenerys. Hand over all your weapons and items, the soldier said, and Naruto agreed. He handed the guard his pack, as well as the sword and dagger he had taken from the knight. Please don't lose those, Naruto urged, to which the guard nodded. Naruto sighed in tiredness as another guard brought over chains and held them up. All right, let's get this thing over with. Naruto raised his hands, and the guards tied him before leading him to the royal room. Naruto noticed the throne room of the pyramid as they entered and realized it was much larger on TV. He was marched inside and spotted Grey Worm standing off to the side with his spear, Missandei, Ser Barristan, and Dario Naharis up by the throne. He believed Dario was a strange character with no personality other than being a killer and booty caller for Daenerys. Speaking of the Mother of Dragons, he noticed her sitting in the chair, dressed in a magnificent white gown, just like in the show's second episode. He was taken aback when he saw her for the first time in real life. She looked just like Emilia Clarke, who plays her on his planet and is on his freebie list, but she wasn't an actress. This was the real person. He'd seen her hundreds of times before, but seeing her in person gave him pause. She was unusually beautiful, as described in the literature, with her long silver blonde hair of Valyrian lineage, but he couldn't account for the fact that she had purple eyes because he was so far away. She wasn't as pale as the literature described her, but she was thin and stunning. The kind of lovely that would make Khal Drogo accept a marriage proposal from her and make Dario plot to sleep with her. Her face revealed that she was as lovely, graceful, and elegant as she was strong, courageous, and fit for a queen. He was confident that if Linda was present, she would try to approach Daenerys even if she wasn't on her freebie list. This led him to Missandei. It was strange seeing two of the women whose actresses are on his freebie list, yet she was just as lovely as Daenerys. He was honestly wondering whether waking up on an Earth where the manifestations of the three Game of Thrones women on his freebie list existed and getting the chance to meet them was some kind of cosmic method of granting him a wish, or seeing if he had the courage and skill to try and woo them was some kind of cosmic method of granting him a desire, or seeing if he had the guts and skill to try and woo them. If it was the latter, the cosmos truly worked in mysterious ways. You stand in the presence of Daenerys Stormborn of House Targaryen, the first of her name, the Unburnt, Queen of Meereen, Queen of the Andals and the First Men, Khaleesi of the Great Grass Sea, Breaker of Chains, and Mother of Dragons, Missandei announced as she and the others got a good look at the mysterious visitor before them. Naruto froze for a split second before realizing he was simply staring at her. I apologize for staring, my lady, but meeting you in person is not what I expected to happen these past few days. It's fine, Esser, but I'm not familiar with your house name, and neither are any of my advisors, she said to him. And they shouldn't, because it's not the name of a Westeros or Essos house. Despite my spiky blonde hair giving you the impression that I'm a Lannister, I can assure you that I'm not, and Esser Barristan can attest to the fact that no Lannister alive has hair as spiky as mine or scars on his cheeks. And he should know best, considering his time in King's Landing keeping an eye on the Lannisters. Naruto elaborated. Daenerys gazed at Esser Barristan, who responded with a shrug. Have we ever met? Esser Barristan was perplexed. Oh, no, Esser Barristan, I say, but I am aware of your reputation. Naruto responded. Esser Barristan the Bold, knighted by King Aegon V at the age of 17 after defeating Esser Duncan the Tall, and made a member of the Kingsguard at the age of 23. You fought in the War of the Ninepenny Kings, killing Meleys the Monstrous and defeating the Kingswood Brotherhood's leader, Simon Toyne. You served faithfully under King Aerys and was pardoned by King Robert until Joffrey booted you out, which, may I add, was rather badass, and you've been serving Daenerys as her Queensguard ever since. Esser Barristan was surprised he understood that last part, and Daenerys noticed, so she waved to the Unsullied, and they leveled their spears at him. I would be very careful with the next words you speak, spy. Daenerys cautioned him. Relax, Mother of Dragons, I'm not a spy, assassin, or whatever Cersei or whoever sent me thinks I am. As you can tell from my demeanor and attire, I'm not from the Seven Kingdoms or any place in Essos with ties to Slaver's Bay, and I doubt a faceless man could pull off these sneakers. Naruto stood up and motioned to his feet. You were told that I was coming to aid you, and you were correct. I'm here to assist you with the Sons of the Harpy and other matters. Why? She inquired. Because I'm feeling like it. When he saw the Unsullied advance their spears closer to him, he realized he needed to respond differently. And because you're going to need some assistance, and I happen to have some knowledge that will come in handy in the coming days. And what would that knowledge be? She inquired, curious as to where this conversation was leading. I'm not sure you'll believe me, but this is the truth. Naruto inhaled deeply. I'm a messenger, champion, oracle, or whatever the gods have sent to help a select few navigate the coming dark times. There were a few moments of stillness as no one knew what to say until Dario did. Of all the stupid stories I've heard in my life, I never thought I'd hear that. Do you expect me to believe you're a divine messenger? Daenerys inquired, suspecting that her new visitor was not quite rational. Call me a messenger, vessel, kick-ass sword of justice, but I'm uniquely gifted, and I want to help you. How about a protest? Naruto offered and smirked before abruptly disappearing, and the chains that bound him clanked to the ground where he had stood. Unsullied. Grey Worm yelled as they ran over to Daenerys and surrounded her, watching for the invader. "Where is he?" Daenerys inquired as Esser Barristan and Dario defended her. Whistle. They heard something and turned around to see Naruto seated on the top window. "Sorry, should I have done something a little less dramatic?" he inquired before disappearing from the scene and reappearing, still bound in chains. "Is this more comfortable for all of you?" "Surround him," says the narrator. Grey Worm gave the order, and all the Unsullied moved in formation around him, spears pointing directly at his head and heart. Okay, maybe that display was a bad idea to see if this is the response, but now you know I'm telling the truth. So I'll leave you with one last example of what I can achieve. I have some insight into future events and how they will unfold. If you will, it is a gift from the gods. I know you recently apprehended a member of the Sons of the Harpy, and you and your council debated what to do with him before deciding to keep him alive and give him a fair trial. That will not last. Massador and a handful of his more violently inclined former slaves will assassinate the son of the Harpy and stake his body in the streets with the words, "Kill the masters," inscribed in blood. When you question him about it, he'll say he did it for you. He'll claim you wanted the Harpy dead, but your hands were chained, so he let you go just like you did him. He'll basically claim that you and the former slaves are the new masters and that the Sons of the Harpy must never bring back the old masters, which I agree with, but his reasoning is a little one-sided. You'll arrest him and condemn him to death in front of everyone, spreading pandemonium throughout the city. So, come visit me when all of this happens, and I'll help you avoid the aftermath. I'm comfortable with being locked up. Naruto elaborated. Take him away. Daenerys gave the order, and Naruto was brought away in chains and escorted to the dungeons. Esser Barristan, do you believe he's telling the truth? I'm not familiar with your grace. One thing is certain. No mortal man could have done what he accomplished, Barristan informed her. Honestly, I think he's full of shit. Dario elaborated. I believe this was all smoke and tricks to get you to relax your guard. She said, we'll see. XXXXX line break. Naruto stayed in the cell for the night, and it wasn't too horrible. He slept like a baby despite the filth and stone floor. He was seated cross-legged on the floor, contemplating. It was one of the few things he could do in his cell, and it helped him stay calm. He was enjoying his solitude when he noticed activity down the corridor and smiled. While Grey Worm, Missandei, Esser Barristan, and Daenerys waited outside, his cell door opened and two Unsullied held a spear point for him. Has he done anything? She queried Grey Worm in High Valyrian, but he shrugged. He had spent the entire night in his cell. We kept a careful eye on him the entire time. Grey Worm comforted her. Daenerys entered his cell, accompanied by Esser Barristan and Grey Worm, who aimed his spear directly at his head. Naruto blinked open his eyes and smiled at his visitors. Good day. Is it morning or afternoon? Please forgive me, but my poor house lacks a window. Naruto cracked a joke. So, how can I help the mother of dragons? Last night, the Harpy's son was murdered. His body was arranged exactly as you predicted, she informed him. And, judging by your expression, you appear to believe I had a hand in it, which is completely understandable. I mean, a strange foreign stranger appears on your doorstep, saying you strange and crazy things. You have no reason to trust him, but when the things he described start to happen, you go visit him. Did you give Massador an opportunity to explain himself? He was perplexed. He said exactly what you predicted he was going to say. Grey Worm spoke up. Right, I forgot you're learning English, Naruto muttered, eliciting a strange glance from the Unsullied. But, judging by the lack of shouting and fighting in the city, I'm guessing you haven't executed him yet. Naruto smiled as Daenerys nodded. Good, don't. Naruto told her straight out. Killing him in front of the entire city sets in motion a chain of events that only makes things worse for you. How? Missandei was perplexed. For one thing, the love the freed slaves have for you dwindles the second you have Dario take his head off. Naruto addressed them. Because they believe the masters are corrupting you, fighting erupts and the city becomes much more difficult to control, which benefits the Sons of the Harpy, who can exploit the chaos. In a few weeks, the Harpies ambush Grey Worm in an Unsullied patrol, badly wounding him. Esser Barristan arrives to assist but is assassinated. Esser Barristan paused when he heard the final sentence. He'd been told that he'd die at the hands of the Harpies. I apologize, Esser Barristan. I've seen what happened, and it was difficult to watch. Naruto expressed regret. You can see into the future? Daenerys inquired, and Naruto shrugged. Not quite. I was shown everything that transpired in the world when I was chosen. I could see specific occurrences as they related to certain people. You were one of them, and it's how I learned so much about Esser Barristan despite the fact that we'd never met. I know a lot about you and your colleagues. Grey Worm was originally from the Summer Isles before being captured by Slavers and transformed into an Unsullied. Missandei was born on the Isle of Noth before she and her 3 brothers were seized and sold into slavery in Astapor, where the captors trained her as a translator until Daenerys released her. Esser Barristan has previously been described, whilst Dario is nothing more than a glorified mercenary who found a better offer than the Second Sons by assassinating his commanding officers in order to satisfy the Dragon Queen and now spends his time as her lover. Naruto recounted, startling everyone with what he said. What exactly did you say to me? Dario stared angrily at him. I believe you understand what I said, but if it was too complicated for you, allow me to simplify for your smaller brain. You're nothing more than a mercenary who bribed and sexed his way into Daenerys' company. We call folks like you, douchebags, where I come from. But, just so you know, it's a joke. Esser Barristan, Grey Worm, Missandei, and even Daenerys all laughed when Naruto told him. Let's see if the god's champion can defend himself against me then. When Barristan stopped him, Dario drew his arak. Stand down, Dario. Daenerys gave the command, which he reluctantly carried out. How about me? You appear to know a lot about my countrymen, but you haven't mentioned anything about myself. Naruto giggled to himself and smiled. I'm not sure where to begin with Daenerys Stormborn of House Targaryen. Aerys's and Queen Rhaella's daughter. During Robert's rebellion, your father and brother Rhaegar were slaughtered, and you and Viserys were spirited to Bravos by the Master of Arms of the Red Keep, Esser Willem Darry, who died when you were 5. You then spent years traveling the free cities before being snatched up by Illyrio Mopatis of Pentos. He assisted Viserys in regaining the throne by bargaining with a Dothraki warlord, Khal Drogo, your late husband. Please accept my condolences. You were afraid, and it took some time to settle in, but you gradually found your way and began to grow stronger. Viserys, being an idiot, was slain by a molten gold crown on his head, which I'm pleased happened because he was a jerk. No offense intended. None were taken. Daenerys responded. In the scuffle, you saved a group of women from being used by Drogo's men, and Drogo was injured. Miri Moshe Dur, one of the women, was a witch. She said she could treat him, but he got worse. Then she said she could cure him, only to leave him brain dead and kill your unborn child. Please accept my sympathies once more. You passed through Karth, the House of the Undying, dealing with Zaro Khon Daxus and then the Warlocks before arriving in Astapor and meeting Esser Barristan and Missandei. You had your army and were making your way through Slavers Bay one city at a time after one Dracarys. You decided to stay in Meereen to gain some experience reigning, and things began to go wrong. You discovered Esser Jorah was a spy sent by Robert years before. Managing a city of former slaves was a lot tougher than you expected, and Drogon went through a rough phase of dragon adolescence, leading you to imprison Viserion and Rhaegal. Then you've been dealing with the Harpy's sons before I arrived. Naruto was completed. Daenerys took a minute to herself since what Naruto said happened exactly as he predicted. He might have missed a few finer points, but he was correct. So, you can see into the future. Will I occupy the Iron Throne? She inquired after Naruto shook his head. I can't predict the future. My skill allows people to see their past and what might happen in the future, but the future is continuously shifting. Consider it like a river. It twists and bends and can even split at times. They gave me my powers, which is how I escaped bondage and appeared on the window, then returned to the same location. It's also how I've learned so much. They told me everything I needed to know, but not exactly what would happen or how it would all end. Naruto elaborated. So, you were given these powers and decided to come help Daenerys out of the goodness of your heart? Esser Barristan inquired, and Naruto shrugged. I guess so. They gave me my skills and visions, but they assured me that the route I take and what I accomplish are all mine. I began my journey in Westeros before coming here, he responded. Whose help did you provide in Westeros? Daenerys inquired, hoping that knowing the response would provide her with further insight into his mystery man. Lady Brienne of Tarth is currently attempting to assist Sansa Stark. Esser Barristan may certainly guess that Sansa has had a difficult existence. He's the only one here who knows what Joffrey's like. Esser Barristan nodded as Naruto pointed out. Before I came here, I helped Brienne and her squire by providing them with much needed information. And if I decide to let you go when you're done here, Daenerys was perplexed. Go to King's Landing and assist the Tyrells, Naruto responded. You say you're here to help me, but you're also willing to help my enemies, Daenerys brought this up. With that mindset, everyone will be your enemy, and they won't be your adversaries if things go wrong. Naruto stood firm in his stance. However, I am here to assist you. I never promised to help the Lannisters. Why not? Says one. Barristan pondered why he never mentioned aiding them, even though they didn't need it. Your own experience, Ser Barristan the Bold, will most likely provide you with an answer. You are a man of honor and integrity, and the Lannisters ignored you because you were too old for them and they didn't trust you. If you had stayed, you would have been guarding Joffrey, and I believe what you don't know about what he did would have pushed your noble character. Naruto responded. He's only done these things because people think he's royal blood, which he isn't. There's a rumor going around, but I know it's true. Joffrey, Tommen, and Myrcella are Jaime Lannister's offspring, not Robert Baratheon's. 2 of the children are the most calm, while the oldest has developed into a whiny, furious king in training. That's what happens when you play with incest. No harm intended to your birth, Daenerys. None were taken. Daenerys responded. So, you don't owe allegiance to a house or a family. No, I believe in people, but only the proper people. Naruto responded, piqued their interest with his response. It was uncommon for someone to refuse allegiance to a house, and those who did followed coin. Naruto's response was to put his trust in people. To maintain power and influence, Cersei and the Lannisters have done unspeakable things. The gods bestowed these abilities on me and left it up to me to determine how to utilize them, and I vowed to use them to aid others. Cersei and the Lannisters, on the other hand, do not. Furthermore, the Queen Regent, who is now Queen Mother, is digging her own grave. Very soon, her own misguided ambitions to maintain power will force her to restructure the Faith Militant in order to defeat her adversaries. The Faith Militant was absolved many years ago, Barristan informed him. Do you honestly believe that matters to Cersei? Ser Barristan acknowledged his argument in response to Naruto's rhetorical query. She sees an opportunity to try to take advantage of it. The High Sparrow is a sanctimonious jerk, but he's cunning and plays Cersei like a fiddle, and he'll take her down soon. High Sparrow? Daenerys was perplexed. Head of the Sparrows, a religious-crazed group that takes the teachings of the Faith of the Seven to their own twisted extreme. I have nothing against anyone's beliefs or their right to believe in whomever they want, as long as it does not cause harm to others. That's why I'm not assisting Stannis, who has the Red Woman whispering in his ear, advising him who to burn at the stake. His heart may be set on the right opponent, but as long as that woman is offering him advice, I'm not trusting him. Naruto stated clearly. You are a very strange individual, Daenerys told him. I'm honored to hold that title. This distinguishes me. Ser Barristan had to admit that Naruto's humor and charisma were entertaining. So, what do you plan to do with me now that you have some answers? I haven't decided yet. Daenerys agreed. Do you think I could get a pillow and some food while you think about it? Naruto inquired. Daenerys left the cell and had one of the guards bring him a cushion and some food while she talked with the others in the hall. I believe it's safe to say that his gift contains some truth, Missandei proposed. You don't seriously believe him, do you? Dario inquired, thinking the whole thing was absurd. So the dude says a couple things that turn out to be true. It doesn't mean he is who he claims to be, and I don't believe him. Are you certain it has nothing to do with the fact that he insulted you? With a smile on his face, Ser Barristan said to him. Whatever his feelings about Naruto, he was a witty individual. Everything he said about us and me is accurate. Everything, Daenerys said. Then he's just another well-informed spy like that spider from Westeros, Dario proposed. There are some things that he couldn't possibly know unless he was there. Daenerys explained, remembering how he knew of Miri Moshe Dur, the warlocks of Karth, and even Drogon. Knowing who was in her company and some minor details like Illyrio Mopatis and Drogo is one thing, but those other details were very difficult to learn unless they were present. Now the question is, what do we do? Missandei inquired. He may appear a little off, but I believe the boy is telling the truth, Ser Barristan explained. Not a girl. I'll be 24 in a few months if the timing is right. And, by the way, if you're going to have a conversation with someone behind their back, go away so they can't hear you. Naruto yelled for everyone to hear. They all exchanged glances before exiting the dungeons and proceeding to the council room to discuss what to do with Naruto. Well, he is a peculiar individual, Missandei agreed. Certainly, unlike anyone I've ever met in King's Landing. Esser Barristan elaborated. I've spent my entire life in the Seven Kingdoms, and there is no other man like this. Perhaps he's telling the truth. That's a big if, Dario said. You still doubt this man after everything we've seen him do and tell us? Esser Barristan inquired. I have no doubt that this man has you believing what he wants you to believe, Dario responded. He got everything about me right. Everything. Things that not even the spider could figure out. Even if he is telling the truth, it is obvious that he is not from here. Daenerys stated this. We questioned Massador extensively, but he never mentioned the man. Everyone who assisted him has been imprisoned, Grey Worm told her. So, what are we going to do? Missandei inquired. In my experience, speaking to a man in person is the best way to truly understand his intentions. Learn about him. Esser Barristan proposed it. Daenerys considered the concept, and both sides had advantages and disadvantages. If he was a spy, she had him in the cells and could kill him at any time, and if Dario was correct and his powers were only a trick of the light, he was no longer a threat because he was always in a secure cell with guards watching over him. But, if he was telling the truth, having someone who had been blessed by the gods and could tell her what would happen in the future would be crucial in the days ahead and when she traveled to Westeros. Bring him here. I'd like to speak with him further. Before glancing at Esser Barristan, Daenerys issued a command. If I truly want to understand him, talking to him may be my best bet. And if he's telling the truth, having someone like him may be really useful, but he's still shackled, and the Unsullied remain in the room. Yes, Your Grace. Grey Worm did as he was told and went to get their prisoner, Guest. He was led up to the council chamber in chains, with a whole squad of Unsullied warriors guarding every door. He sat at the round table, while Daenerys sat in a chair across from him, wearing a breastplate of armor, and Esser Barristan stood in front of her for protection. Grey Worm and Dario stood by Naruto's side, their swords poised at his neck, ready to slay him if he tried anything. I'm glad you're willing to speak with me and believe I'm telling the truth, but is this really necessary? Naruto inquired, feeling Dario's Arak scratch his beard. This is a little unsettling. You'll see why some safeguards are necessary. If you don't like it, you're free to return to your jail. Daenerys informed him, and he chuckled. That's good to know. Okay, you're the queen. Naruto gave in. So, what do you need? You appear to know a lot about all of us and claim to be here to help. You're asking me to place your trust in me, despite the fact that I know nothing about you. Daenerys brought this up. Okay, what exactly do you want to know? Naruto replied. You claim that the gods gifted you this insight into my countrymen and myself. How did you get them? She inquired. Oh, it's so simple. I was hit by a bolt of lightning. A bolt of lightning? He nodded as Missandei clarified. Yeah. It was the worst storm I'd ever seen, and a massive bolt of lightning struck me, knocking me unconscious. It should have killed me, but instead sent me into a deep sleep in which I began receiving images of the past that revealed so much about you and others. When I awoke, I discovered that I had altered and could channel lightning to sprint exceedingly fast. Naruto elaborated. How fast? Esser Barristan was perplexed. Very. I didn't come here by ship or horseback. I sprinted here in roughly 30 minutes from Westeros Riverlands. Naruto informed her. Because you've all been dubious about who I am and what I can do, you don't believe me, which is understandable. But that explains why I was able to vanish and reappear on the royal room's windowsill. Do you handle and support yourself as if you've seen battle? Are you a fighter? Esser Barristan had a question. Yes, but not in the manner you do. I'm an innovator and scientist from my home country. Like a maester, I use my abilities to benefit everyone in my community. When I awoke and gained my talents, I continued to aid the city, so I picked up a few skills, such as learning how to fight, which I'm quite excellent at. Naruto elaborated. It's also why I'm going to assist Sansa Stark and others like Jon Snow and the Tyrells. They're decent individuals who are about to face some difficulties, and I'm doing what I always do. I assist others. I see, and I'm guessing you're going to want something in return for assisting me. Perhaps gold? Daenerys inquired, but Naruto shrugged. No, a seat on my city council? She made the offer. No, all the women you want. Ye know, my hand in marriage. Daenerys offered, believing it was what he desired. I have no plans to marry just yet. You are lovely, dear lady, and there is a part of me that… Naruto was trying to find out the best way to say it without offending her or revealing that she was on his freebie list. I don't want to marry you in exchange for your assistance. So, what do you want? Assume you do assist me. I cross the narrow sea and no longer require your assistance. What are your plans? Naruto paused for a while to consider her question. Well, I'll probably get a good meal and some souvenirs to remember my time here. And then find my way home. Naruto stated the obvious. I've been gone for a long time and I'd like to see my family again. Daenerys looked at Naruto and recognized the same need for home in his face that she had seen in the mirror in the past. You have a family? In a way. Someone once said, family does not end with blood. Bobby stated something to Dean, according to Naruto. Because he enjoyed the statement, he remembered that time from watching the show with Linda. My family is expecting me. If you want, I can show you. Do you happen to have my bag? A rectangular block should be present. Daenerys nodded to Missandei, who motioned for an unsullied soldier to approach. He rummaged through the bag before pulling out a small black rectangle. That's all there is to it. Simply place it on the table. The unsullied did, and Naruto lightly tapped his watch, causing a hologram to materialize from his phone. It showed a picture of Naruto, Barry, Linda, Cisco, Caitlyn, and Dr. Wells prior to the Pied Piper incident. Everyone was on edge as it appeared, with the Unsullied pointing their spears towards Naruto and Dario and Grey Worm moving their swords closer to his neck, nicking his flesh and drawing blood. Relax, everyone, it's just a painting of me and my friends. Naruto reassured them, but they remained on edge. This is another of the gifts I received. To be able to show others my history. Daenerys glanced at the strange image and recognized Naruto but not anyone else in it. They appeared to be in some kind of chamber that she didn't recognize, but Naruto and the others appeared to be happy and to be a family. Stand down. Daenerys gave the order, opting to put a little faith in her unusual visitor. They did so in return to their previous roles. You said that executing Masada for his crimes leads to the city turning against me? It's the first step in that descent, and it's an opportunity that the Sons of the Harpy seize. Chaos and uncertainty in a city are ideal for a bunch like them. And you are not required to execute him. Naruto informed her. He disobeyed my orders and killed my prisoner, Daenerys informed him. True, but why does that sentence have to end in death? Naruto was perplexed. It's one of the few things I've never understood, but everyone thinks differently. Anyway, rather than executing him, you should follow Esir Baristan's recommendation and simply confine him in the dungeons. He already is. Esir Baristan brought this up. I meant to say keep him locked up. Naruto reprimanded him. Masada did violate your orders and break the law, but beheading everyone who does so will not help you in the long run. Showing mercy buys you some time to deal with the main issue at hand, which is identifying and stopping the Sons of the Harpy. Given the consequences of killing him and inciting a mob, sparing his life for the time being to keep the calm is a modest price to pay. Small reforms like this and others will benefit the city and demonstrate your commitment to making things better. I have already made positive changes. The masters are no longer in control of Slaver's Bay. Daenerys stated this. True, but you've lost Astapor and Yunkai, and despite what you've been told, I doubt the wise masters of Yunkai will allow the city to be free after regaining control. To acquire what they want, they will most likely lie and deceive you. You're thousands of miles away, and all you know is what they tell you. Many people use deception as an effective strategy. Naruto reprimanded her. And, yes, you abolished slavery, but have you actually improved things here? What are your long-term objectives? Do you have any suggestions for improving the city's infrastructure? What about increasing trade with the rest of the world? Instead of using the Unsullied and Second Sons, why not establish guilds and perhaps a local military to keep the people safe? Hearing him say all of that was somewhat unexpected. Do you seem to have prior experience running a kingdom? Daenerys brought this up. Historians say that history repeats itself. That is one of the flaws in history. Clarence Darrow was mentioned by Naruto. They had no idea, but it made Naruto appear wise. Poetic. Esir Baristan made a remark, and Naruto shrugged in response. I do have my moments. He laughed in response. But, in all seriousness, I applaud your efforts to help people and make the world a better place, but you've already discovered that conquering cities and ruling them are two very different things. You can request that Esir Baristan back me up on this. Robert Baratheon was a conqueror and a warrior, but the Seven Kingdoms only exchanged a mad king for a drunken whoremonger. Esir Baristan, how did you put it? Was Robert a good man, a great warrior, or a terrible king? That's correct. Esser Barristan stated as Daenerys cast a glance towards him. He was a warrior who could lead men into battle but knew very little about ruling. He was more suited to winning the crown than ruling it. When Robert took the throne, Jon Arryn ruled the Seven Kingdoms. He is the reason Westeros did not fall apart, and it was only after his death that it did. I can't believe I'm going to cite Tywin Lannister, but he made a valid point. Your history is littered with terrible kings, and I believe you have the potential to be a good one. But what makes a good king, or in this instance, queen? Naruto inquired, noticing Daenerys' expression. It's not a rhetorical question. What is the single most important quality of a good ruler? Justice, Daenerys replied. It is true that a good ruler must be just. Orys I was a good man. His reforms were praised by all. Nobles and commoners equally, but not for long. After less than a year, he was murdered in his sleep by his own brother, who thereafter seized power. Some rulers were holy. Baelor the Blessed was holy and starved himself to death because food came from this world, which was immoral. Of course, Robert was strong, but we all know how that turned up. Wisdom is the most vital aspect for everyone with a smidgen of power. Naruto informed her. A truly wise person understands what they know and what they don't. You're quite fortunate. Esser Barristan is most likely the wisest person in the room. You'll be okay with him at your side, but there's nothing wrong with broadening your circle of supporters and seeking assistance from others. Whatever you choose to call Tywin, he was brilliant, strategic, and had more experience with politics and ruling than most individuals in the Seven Kingdoms. With him gone, King's Landing is doomed with Cersei in charge. Did you happen to know him? Esser Barristan inquired, and Naruto shrugged. No, and I don't think I wanted to. A cunning and vicious gamer, but as accessible and kind as a cactus. Esser Barristan agreed with Naruto. Well, if you're truly here to help me, what do you recommend I do? Daenerys inquired. If you want a truly blunt and honest answer, I can give it to you, Naruto informed her. By all means. Naruto nodded and took a deep breath as Daenerys urged him on. Act as if you're a queen who wishes to help the city. People should not be executed at random. If you wanted to eliminate the slaver class, you should have just done it and murdered them all instead of picking 163 random people to revenge the children's death, because chances are you killed some innocent people as well as the actual responsible party. If you wanted to know what happened, you should have studied it and discovered the truth rather than simply acting, since those horrible slavers you didn't execute became the sons of the Harpy. Start schools for liberated slaves in collaboration with the city's guild heads or trade specialists. To try to give them new lives, get them occupied with new jobs as builders, farmers, or whatever. You set them free, but now they have to do something to keep themselves occupied and away from the Harpies. Talk to persons who have dealt with treasuries and see if you can meet with an emissary from the Iron Bank in Bravos to discuss your options. Speak with the merchants to try to stimulate economic growth and create a viable alternative to the slaving economy here. The fact that the Harpy you apprehended was a working-class person demonstrates that they may use the fact that emancipated slaves are their economic foes to their advantage. Bridge the gap between free citizens and newly released people, since they are already too divided. What will Marine and the other cities be if they are not slave cities? Cities that fish? What are gem cities? Figure out an alternative, and it will demonstrate to the other cities in the area that they do not have to return to slavery, and it will demonstrate to the working class that it is in their best interests to integrate with the freed class rather than turning against them and you. Make sure everyone is compensated, don't torture them, don't execute them without a fair trial, and don't feed them to your dragons, because it only helps the Harpies recruit more against you. Wow, that was quite a lot, Esser Barristan explained. I have some more. Delegate some of your job to your council or other individuals you wish to assist you rather than doing it all alone, because it takes up your time and doesn't only stack in the people you brought with you. Find some persons who can assist you from various levels of Mirrance society. This city is home to more than simply freed slaves and former slave-holding aristocrats. You must convert a group in the middle. After that, create an actual set of laws and regulations that everyone must follow, and make sure everyone in the city is aware of what is and isn't illegal. It can't be arbitrary, like paying that goat owner 3 times the value of his herd in gold, because if you do that with everyone who comes in, you'll run out of money. You need one set of regulations that everyone in this city must observe. If you have one set of regulations for them and another for another group, you will only cause confusion and appear hypocritical. Set up a system for others to follow if you want them to see a different way of life. Then have Esser Barristan start building a city watch to assist the Unsullied in guarding and patrolling the city. He is the only one who has some experience and can accomplish it. Finally, remember that Marine is a real place with real people whose lives are impacted by what you do. This will be a long-term undertaking, not a test phase for the 7 kingdoms that can be discarded once completed. Learn about the culture of the city and its families, as understanding its history may help you change it, and perhaps get out of the pyramid to check how the city is doing. Naruto completed by inhaling deeply to replenish his lungs. Jesus Christ, that was an awful lot. Naruto noticed Daenerys was irritated by what he said to her. Look, I didn't say anything to offend you or to tell you that you're not performing your job. Nothing ever truly prepares someone for ruling, and you're only getting started. As I previously stated, a truly wise person understands what they know and what they don't. You may be the queen, but even a queen requires assistance, and don't put too much stock in that title. Many people have been brought down by pride, and if you're not careful, it could come back to bite you in the $1 or stab you in the heart. Attempting to help people and transform the world is a good and wonderful idea. But no one said it would be easy. Naruto informed her. But if that doesn't matter, pack your belongings and head to Westeros to make a bid for the throne. Daenerys took a minute to take it all in, and she was slightly offended by what he said to her. This guy just trashed all she'd done and told her what to do, but she remained cool, supported by a reassuring gaze from Esser Barristan. Thank you for your wise comments, Naruto. I will consider them all. Perhaps some modifications are possible. That is the first step. Recognizing the issue. There is nothing wrong or weak about admitting you need help or made a mistake. It actually demonstrates more character to do so. And you've got some helpful buddies, Naruto stated as he looked at her counsel. However, after a thorough vetting process, you might want to expand that reach to some others in the city. Anyway, there's one more thing I can do for you today that may be able to obtain you some information on the Sons of the Harpy. And what exactly is that? Missandei was perplexed. It was the Unsullied who was killed. I believe it's a white rat? Daenerys nodded as Naruto inquired. He was having an affair with a prostitute. She works with the Sons of the Harpy, and I believe I have an idea that will persuade her to reveal some information. It would only take some snooping and spying, and you letting me go so I could chat to her. Dario, Esser Barristan, or Grey Worm are welcome to stay in the room and watch me converse to her, as are as many Unsullied guards as you choose. Daenerys considered Naruto's offer for a time. True to Esser Barristan's advice, she gained a lot from their chat, and she was convinced that he wasn't a spy. Her doubts remained, but they had reduced. Granted, she wasn't ready to totally trust Esser Jorah after his treachery, but this could be the first step toward obtaining a new ally. Release him. Daenerys gave the order. Grey Worm paused for a moment, but a gesture from his queen sent him on his way, and he used a key to free their prisoner from the constraints and chains. Naruto stood up a few seconds later, and the chains fell to the ground. Wait a minute. Naruto took a step over to a pillar and stretched, hearing the gratifying pop and crack of his bones. Oh, that feels really good. Naruto cracked his neck and rolled his shoulders back before rubbing his back against the pillar like a cat to shatter a few more bones and relax his joints. His actions were funny, eliciting a sardonic look from Daenerys and Esser Barristan. Reminds me of some of the boys I grew up with. He whispered something to her. If you're finished, Daenerys observed. 1 second. Naruto relaxed after cracking his neck with a pleasurable pop. Done. Now, if you have any people who know a thing or two about the locals, we might be able to get ahead of the Sons of the Harpy if all goes well. XXXXX line break. Several hours passed, and Naruto sat on the stairs of the royal room in the pyramid, with Grey Worm and Dario, as well as a dozen Unsullied soldiers, watching over him. He opened his pack, took out a speedster energy bar, and bit on it. Would you like some? He inquired mid-chew, but no one was interested, so he continued chewing and took a sip of water. He waited for about a minute more when 2 Unsullied entered with the same woman who had been with White Rat and led the Son of the Harpy to kill him. Perfect timing. I just finished my meal. Those who have not been told to stay by Grey Worm may depart. Grey Worm nodded, and the 2 additional men exited. May I get you something? What about some water? I assumed that coming up the stairs had made you thirsty. When Naruto noticed her staring around the room at the Unsullied, he offered. Oh, don't be concerned about them. They're not here for you. They're here for me. Let's just say the Queen's advisors are still skeptical of my motives and aren't very trusting. With good reason. Grey Worm has been added. Fair enough. Naruto gave in. You're probably wondering why you're here right now. If you're going to torture me, just get on with it, the woman said to him, and Naruto smiled reassuringly. I'm not a tormentor. I'm a hero, scientist, physician, land traveler, a bit of a smartass, and I may be merciless in a fight, but I don't torture. I do have some constraints. To be honest, I never understood the concept of torturing to obtain information. Sure, if you hurt someone long enough, they'll offer you something, but half the time it'll be meaningless nonsense. If you break someone enough, they will say whatever you want. The truth will only come out if someone wants it, which can only happen if you utilize truth serum or they willingly divulge it. So, Vala, let us attempt the second method, Naruto remarked, harnessing his inner charm to keep things calm and easygoing while implying knowledge superiority. Call it an attempt to combine the finest of Varus and the best of true Naruto. While Naruto went about and maintained his calm, non-threatening approach, the woman was surprised that he remembered her name. Am I saying that correctly, Vala? Sorry, but studying Valyrian is like learning Spanish all over again. I'm in a hard patch, but I'm getting there. Is my pronunciation correct? He inquired of Grey Worm. It is. Naruto grinned as Grey Worm told him. Excellent. So, I know who you are and what you did. I'm not putting you down because of what you do for a living. There will be no judgment from me in that sense, and I applaud your willingness to put your body on the line for a cause you believe in. The problem is that you've disturbed certain individuals, and someone has died as a result. One of the Unsullied. Naruto reminded her of this. The Unsullied and the Second Sons are foreign soldiers who have been brought here by a foreign queen to destroy our city and our history. Vala informed him, and he nodded. And believe me, I get it. I truly believe it. Naruto addressed her. You know, my forefathers experienced the same thing when fighting off invasions from various types of foreign soldiers. Of all, history has shown that there is some general peace after a lot of violence, war, and other eras, so I see where you're coming from. If I were in your shoes, I would do the same, but I believe it would be beneficial for you to learn the opposing viewpoint in this debate. It is beneficial to comprehend why another group does particular things. You are doing what you are doing to safeguard your home and culture, and I absolutely understand that. But Daenerys and her army are not committing cultural genocide on Essos, not at all. She's doing it to help others. How is conquering my home helping people? Vala inquired. Well, Daenerys has done everything she can in Slaver's Bay to liberate those whom the masters have chosen to enslave. I believe that abolishing slavery is a great cause, unless you believe that just because someone is born into a certain class or has a different appearance, they should be treated like animals. Naruto paused. I mean, where I come from, the slave trade was founded by wealthy white men who preyed on people they perceived as inferior or beneath them. Innocent men were abducted from their homes, women were treated as toys and subjected to cruel punishments, and children were torn from their families. That's the kindest way I can describe it since I can go dark, but I'd rather not right now. Do you genuinely believe that assisting the masters in regaining control will make things better? I mean, the masters nailed 163 innocent children to roadside markers on their march to Marine and then left their bodies to rot in the sun. Does that make you think of people who are proud and noble? What if it was your son that was kidnapped? When he mentioned her son, he noticed Vala's breathing pause. I promise you that neither I nor anyone in the Queen's service will cause your son any harm. He's fine and not in any danger. But it's in your best interest to assist us so that we can assist you. Naruto alerted her. They'll kill me if I tell you anything. So, either you or they will kill me, Vala informed him. The fact that you said they would kill you shows that you are fighting on the wrong side. Naruto pointed out before pulling something from his pocket and handing it to her. She caught it and discovered it to be a gold coin. That's only one. You and your son will find them in a tiny bag. Should keep you happy for a while. Grey Worm placed the small gold bag on the floor for her to see. There's also a ship leaving for Pentos tomorrow, and I convinced the captain to reserve a room for a woman and her son. Tell us what you know, and you're free to go live your life your way. Why are you doing this? Naruto responded with a kind smile to Vala's question. I assist others. Anyone I can think of. It's my job, and I'm really excellent at it. He responded. Vala took a deep breath before informing him of what she had discovered. Daenerys waited in the advisor meeting room with Esser Barristan and Missandei, while Naruto visited with the woman. Dario, Grey Worm, and other Unsullied were keeping an eye on him, and if he did anything, they had her authorization to intervene. Missandei sat at the table while Daenerys sipped her wine and Esser Barristan did his duty of keeping an eye on him. "Everything all right, Your Grace?" Missandei inquired. "Of course," she says. "I was just thinking." Daenerys responded. "Do you believe he was correct? What have I been doing in this city?" "He wasn't saying anything about what you were doing wrong, Your Grace. He was only making suggestions that you should simply implement in order to effect additional improvements." Esser Barristan corrected her misconception. "He's exactly right." Naruto stepped back in, devouring another speedster energy bar with Dario, Grey Worm, and the other unsullied warriors. As I previously stated, the first step in recognizing a problem is admitting that one exists, and there is no shame in doing so. Now you can try to make things better. "You took your time," Daenerys observed. The conversation took some time. Naruto completed his speedy energy bar and realized he didn't have a place to discard the wrapper, so he stuffed it inside his pocket. "However, we discovered some useful information. I discovered who was sponsoring the Sons of the Harpy and subtly altered my opinion of you and your friends." "You found out?" Esser Barristan didn't think the scheme would work. "It's the wise masters of Yunkai, with help from their slaver friends in Volantis and possibly some assistance from the masters left in Astapor," Naruto informed them. "Slavery will not be abolished without a fight. Something tells me that they told Hizdar Zo Lorak a bunch of nonsense to pass the time. In a long-term battle, deception is the most effective weapon. We've conquered Yunkai and Astapor before, and we'll do it again." Grey Worm stated this. "We can't go out there and retake the other cities. Marine will be vulnerable." Esser Barristan reminded him of this. "How can we stop them if we don't fight them?" Grey Worm inquired. "We can't. The masters only speak one language. They taught it to me for many years, and I know it as well as my mother tongue. We must talk back to them if we want them to hear us. May this be the last thing they hear." Missandei chimed in with her thoughts. "She is correct. This was made possible by my mercy to the masters. There will be no mercy this time," Daenerys stated clearly. "Please, Your Grace, keep in mind what I told you about your father," Esser Barristan pleaded his case. "I do, but this is unique. Not just a few old slavers are revolting against us. The entire ruling class of 2 strong cities is paying men to do their nasty deed. How do you think I should stop them?" Daenerys inquired, and Esser Barristan had no response. She looked across at Naruto to see what he thought. "You've given me some interesting tips on how to improve the city. How do you think I should handle this?" Naruto paused for a moment, pacing about the room to allow his super brain to go through every single element and come up with a solution, but this was a difficult challenge. Sure, slavery existed in his world and was abolished, but the issue is a little more complicated, and even then, it took years in a civil war to finish, and that's just in the United States. This was going to be extremely tough, and given the master's mentality and disregard for human life, not without bloodshed. "Dear Sir Barristan, I see your point of view, but the case is a little more complicated. It will not have an easy response. Nothing ever does in life. I realize you're afraid about Daenerys being like her father, but I believe there's a fine line between conducting a civil war and burning your own subjects alive and seeking to abolish slavery and the scumbags who benefit from it. Even so, this won't be over in a fortnight." Naruto addressed them. "What exactly do you mean?" Missandei inquired. "Even if you could go back and retake those cities, you lack the resources. That didn't work for Dario and the Second Sons. Marine will be defenseless if the Unsullied go. There are only 8,000 of them, so it will not suffice. Not to add, with Drogon gone and Viserion and Rhaegal bound up, your options are somewhat restricted." Naruto clarified his position. "Then what do you suggest we do?" Daenerys inquired. "As I previously stated, this will be a long-term project that will not resolve itself overnight. Do I object to you killing all the slavers? No way, no how. I'll fight beside you, but killing them all now will only make them martyrs, and another group will take their place. That will put you back in the same situation you were in before. You know who funds the Sons of the Harpy, so that's a significant gain for the time being. With a little more time, you can assemble an extra force in Marine to assist the Unsullied and Second Sons. While you're doing that, Daenerys Targaryen has the ability to transform people's perceptions of this city and her leadership. The transformation must begin here," Naruto informed her. "So, are we just going to give up and do nothing?" Grey Worm inquired, but Naruto simply shrugged. "I didn't say that, but you should play smart. You can't afford to act without first thinking things out. The masters are coming after Daenerys for a reason, and that reason is fear. I'm afraid of the mother of dragons and her army, but also of what she represents. And what's that? Sir Barristan inquired. Freedom and choice. Daenerys let it all sink in as Naruto talked, finding some comfort and determination in his words. He was an excellent public speaker. They're after her because she represents change and hope for the people they enslave, and they don't like it. They're going to do everything they can to dismantle it, and they have the means to do it. They want Marine to fail and devolve to chaos, giving them more chances to assassinate you. So, do what queens do best and reign while the rest of us deal with the Harpies' sons. Us? You think we'll let you aid us? Dario was joking. That's not up to you. Sell the sword. Naruto scolded him before turning to face Daenerys. I told you I'm here to help, and I meant it, so if you don't lock me up in a dungeon cell every time, consider me an ally. I'll assist you dealing with the sons of the Harpy, constructing Marine, and providing more advice. Consider myself an ally. And perhaps, one day, a friend. Naruto extended his hand to Daenerys. There was a brief period of stillness as everyone in the room awaited her response, before Daenerys stepped up and shook his hand. I hope my faith in you is not misplaced. I promised you it wouldn't. Naruto gave the Dragon Queen a friendly smile. It won't be easy, but if anything in life is easy, it's not worth it. I would recommend doing some preparation before going tonight and starting over the next day. That does sound like an excellent plan. Missandei, make sure our guest has a room. Daenerys informed her. Yes, Your Grace. Missandei bent her head in respect. Grey Worm, post some Unsullied outside his room just in case. Daenerys gave him the order. Yes, Your Grace. Grey Worm spoke up, keeping a close eye on me. Smart. Naruto made a remark. I've let my trust lead me astray before. I'm not going to let that happen again. Daenerys told him before she went, followed by Dario and the other Unsullied. Sir Barristan followed but came to a halt at Naruto and handed him the longsword and dagger he carried with him when he arrived at the pyramid. I believe these are yours. Naruto examined the weapons before shaking his head. No, thank you. I'm fine for the time being, though a Valyrian steel sword would be nice. Best of luck with that. All Valyrian steel weapons are the property of noble houses and can cost fortunes. The only place you'd have a chance of finding one is in Old Valyria, but I wouldn't risk it. That location has been cursed since the beginning of time. Barristan cautioned him. I might take a chance. I'm good at surprise people, Naruto responded. So, that's what I've seen. Barristan chuckled as he walked away from Daenerys. Missandei brought Naruto through the pyramid to a room at the end of a hallway, away from any windows or doors, leaving him locked in at a dead end. That was probably Daenerys' way of making sure he couldn't sneak out. Missandei opened the door to his room to demonstrate how simple it was. A little bed, a mirror, and a wash basin with a nearby jug of water. This is where you will be staying. Missandei informed him. Thank you so much. The restroom? He was perplexed, and she directed his attention to the room across from his. Thank you so much. Could I please have some paper, quills, and ink? I'll have them brought over here in a moment, Missandei responded. Thank you so much, Missandei. I know my meeting was unusual, but I am here to assist, he promised, and she nodded before heading out the door to get the paper and quills he requested, while the Unsullied stood guard. And another of the women on my list is gone. So strange. Naruto entered his room and placed his pack and sack on the bed to organize his stuff. He emptied the pouch connected to his pack, which contained the 95 Speedster energy bars he had unshrunk, and ate 2 of them in quick succession. He had a slight feeling of sickness and lightheadedness because he had been given little food in the cell, but he was feeling better today. He needed at least 50,000 calories a day to maintain his metabolism and avoid passing out. Because of the work he did on Earth 19,999, he modified the formula so that each bar gave him roughly 25,000 calories, so 2 bars per day would be sufficient if he didn't utilize his powers. Depending on how frequently he uses his speed, he may require at least 4 or 5 bars each day to complement whatever he can eat here and avoid fainting out as on Earth 21. And that's a conservative estimate. Fortunately, he had also created approximately 10,000 and had them sorted into groups of 100. He was fine for the time being, but if things got bad, he'd have to control his speed and calorie intake. Except for one, he returned the rest of the bars to the sack and took a little case with an earphone from his tech pouch. He put it in his ear and activated it after syncing it with Gideon. Gideon, can you hear me? I can. How do you feel, Naruto? I'm doing fine. It was a little tense there, but I'm fine now. Fortunately, I have more speedster energy bars than I did on Earth 21, so I'll be fine. I'm not sure how much knowledge you have, but how much do you know about city planning and political reform? He was perplexed. I am well versed in every field of knowledge known to Earth and human history. Gideon alerted me. You were very thorough in designing both my mainframe and my neuromorphic matrix. That's interesting. Then I'll need your assistance, and with you in my ear, we'll be able to stay in touch. Naruto grinned. I probably should have put the earpiece in sooner now that I think about it. Sometimes the best ideas pass us by when they're right in front of us. Even for superhumans. When Naruto heard footsteps and Masande arrived with the paper, quills, and ink, Gideon made a remark. Thank you. Naruto took them and set them on his room's desk. Do you need anything else? She inquired. No, I'm fine. I'll see you first thing in the morning. Naruto said goodnight to her and bowed her head before leaving. He unzipped his hoodie and flattened out his red t-shirt on the bed. He wouldn't need his jacket, hoodie until he returned to Westeros, given the desert-like weather of Essos. He poured some water into a cup and sipped it before sitting down at the desk and scribbling notes on the pieces of paper he was given. The following morning, Daenerys proceeded through the pyramid's halls, flanked by Esser Barristan and Dario, as well as Masande. They were accompanied by some unsullied warriors and were on their way to Naruto's chamber. She wanted to check if he had caused any problems, and if not, if he was truly going to be as helpful as he said he would be. When she moved into view, the Unsullied at the door stood at attention. Has he caused you any problems? She inquired. No, Your Majesty. There are no issues, they responded. Did he try to flee at all during the night? She inquired. No, he went to the potty twice yesterday night and once this morning, they responded. They entered Naruto's room after she nodded to Esser Barristan, who unlocked the door. They discovered Naruto sitting on the floor, facing the wall. Some assumed he was dead, but he was actually meditating. Naruto sat in seiza, the Japanese method of sitting with his legs folded neatly and his back upright. He finished it with his hands on his lap and his eyes closed as he meditated by taking deep breaths. It was typical of how samurai or martial artists sat in movies. Daenerys was ready to approach him when everyone noticed flashes of white and red lightning around his body, prompting Esser Barristan to draw her back for her own protection. Everyone witnessed the spectacle of lightning coursing and flowing around his body, yet instead of scorching or killing him, he was okay. He sat there with his eyes closed, utterly at ease, with the lightning moving as if it were emanating from him. Naruto took one more long breath, and the lightning ceased just as he opened his eyes to see them staring at him. Good morning. According to the Seven, Esser Barristan grumbled. I apologize for that. I was meditating at the time. He told them this while standing up and stretching. They observed he was dressed similarly to yesterday, but he was wearing a red t-shirt. His jacket was lying on the bed. It offered them a nice look at his toned physique, which revealed a lot of training. Esser Barristan could tell Naruto wasn't simply talking, and even Daenerys had to admit he had a certain attractiveness about him. So you didn't flee last night and sell me out to my adversaries? Daenerys stated this. No, I did not. I promised I'd be there to help, and I delivered. Naruto approached the desk, picked up the pieces of paper, and presented them to her. Daenerys examined them, noting that each page was written from top to bottom. I spent some time working on political reforms, infrastructure development, new tax policies, guild training, and other things that could be done in and around the city to help people. How long did you take to write all of this? Daenerys was perplexed. An hour, give or take a few extra minutes, he responded, eliciting a few surprised looks. I've seen small council meetings in King's Landing last several days over simple tax talks. Esser Barristan made a remark. That's where politicians and I disagree. They only talk and do nothing, but I do both. Naruto cracked a joke, eliciting a chuckle from the older knight. It also helps that I work extremely quickly. My mind works faster than most, and I can do tasks that others would take hours to complete. I bet that's a letdown for the ladies, isn't it? With a sneer on his face, Dario insulted him. Speaking from personal experience, Esser Barristan and Daenerys both laughed as Naruto fired back. I'm afraid I don't have that problem because with speed comes endurance. I've been running for hours and have barely broken a sweat. I doubt you could do it. Dario gave him a death stare, while Naruto simply smirked. He was never a great fan of the show's Dario character. It appeared that the lightning came from your body. Did you do it? Esser Barristan inquired of Naruto and received a nod in answer. Naruto raised his hand and began vibrating it, causing it to blur and lightning to flash around it. The Unsullied stiffened up a little, as did everyone else, but they were also taken aback. The lightning bolt did a lot of damage to my body. It took me a while to get the hang of them. Naruto's hand was halted, and the lightning dissipated. Anyway, that's enough of that. There are numerous items on the pages that can assist the city and that you can begin working on. You can talk to some folks and make plans. Of course, I'm here to assist in moving things along. What exactly is a greenhouse? Daenerys was perplexed after seeing it on paper with some primitive sketches. It's a farm structure made by humans. They are man-made structures rather than big fields with broad open spaces for farming vegetables and food. Some are modest, while others can be enormous. They are a good way to grow fruits and vegetables if you don't have access to extensive agricultural area, and they allow you to have more control over their surroundings. Marine is essentially a metropolis, with the desert on one end and the sea on the other, surrounded by mountains. That soil in the mountains would be wonderful for farming, but the topography makes it difficult, yet Marine could grow more food instead of importing it by using a greenhouse. Naruto responded. Is such a thing even possible? Masande inquired. If you're good at what you're doing, I've seen them in action. I also have plans to bring in additional fresh water and use canals to improve people's quality of life. Naruto elaborated. Do a lot of work for the city people. Esser Baristan brought this up. And a welcome distraction. Other suggestions include mills, better plumbing and water circulation, and a few others that I hope you'll find intriguing. I'm aware of a neighboring tributary that runs into the city from the north. That could come in handy, Naruto stated. You're referring to the Skeazoden River, which runs between the Red Waste and the Kaisei Pass. It's a brown water river that's home to pike, but we don't drink from it. It's utilized for rubbish, therefore no one eats the fish there either. Masande informed him. That's kind of gross, but it makes sense. Still, if you know what you're doing, the river can be handy. You can't drink the water, but utilizing it in other ways, such as establishing water mills near cities, would be a tremendous help and create more jobs. Naruto proposed. The masters probably never considered using the area because their profit from slavery provided them with the coin they required. You'll be able to do whatever you want with the mill set up, and it will offer people with steady jobs and cash. You've thought things through. Daenerys made a remark. I like to keep myself busy. I know it's a lot of work, but it gives the inhabitants of the city something to do, and while they're busy working, the Unsullied can strengthen up fortifications and deal with Sons of the Harpy. You affect people's perceptions of you while also benefiting the city. It's a win-win situation. Naruto stated this. Daenerys read the last page and was impressed. Naruto was wise enough to run his own empire if he so wished. This could be valuable, and if it isn't, his time with her will be over. I'm blown away. I was half expecting you to come up with some excuses and tried and true ideas. I'm glad I was proven wrong, she agreed. I have that kind of impact on people. But before we begin, there is something I need you to sign. Naruto brought out another piece of paper with writing on it. What exactly is this? Daenerys inquired as she took it and examined it. I suppose in terms you'd understand. It's written proof of our cooperation and friendship, he informed her. This represents that my word is my bond. When you write your name on the contract, I am obligated to assist you in every way I can. The gods chosen requires proof of contract? Esser Baristan inquired. It just helps keep things in order, and you'd be surprised. The gods, despite their omnipotence, are bureaucrats like any other politician. Naruto laughed, but he was absolutely out of his mind. Daenerys examines the contract before grabbing the quill from his desk and signing it. Will this suffice? He flashed her a wide smile as she puzzled. It certainly will. He was just delighted inside since he had Daenerys Targaryen's autograph. Sisko would perish from jealousy. He rolled the parchment and placed it in his rucksack. So, should we get started? So started a long day of Naruto assisting Daenerys with city administration. They went through the list of tasks. To fill up her council, Daenerys held many sessions and met with some of the city's professionals in trade, commerce, finance, and building. Some of these specialists were free marine citizens, while others were former slaves, but they all provided vital insight and advice on these issues. Naruto sped across the city and swiftly constructed a mock greenhouse on top of a one-story building near the bay and dockyards. The Unsullied that Daenerys assigned to watch Naruto observed him writing several things down on several pieces of paper before constructing a greenhouse the length of the building's roof. He constructed numerous rows and filled them with earth before adding smaller portions to stack on top of one another. He also devised an inventive fan system within the greenhouse to keep it from steaming up and killing any plants that might grow, using the sea air from the bay to power miniature fans positioned throughout the greenhouse, and then began laying a waterline. He was working with medieval-era tools and supplies, but he was a genius and skilled engineer, so he knew how to make the best of what he had. After finishing her sessions with her new council, Daenerys and the others went to inspect Naruto's greenhouse while it was still light out. The sun was setting, but they still had an hour or two of daylight remaining. They saw the greenhouse, and it looked precisely like Naruto had drawn it. It took up the same amount of space as the building's roof, with rows and rows of soil and even shelves of smaller pots. The roof was mostly glass, yet it was kept cool by an elaborate fan system. Naruto wiped his brow and smiled at his efforts. Normally, he'd have a cutting-edge lab in computers to assist him, but he only had his 2 hands, his nano-metal gauntlets, Gideon in his ear, and super speed. It felt fantastic to be able to work with his bare hands again. "You built all of this today?" Daenerys inquired. "In fact, I built it in an hour. The rest of the day was spent designing the fan system and a water piping system for the city." Naruto showed her piles and scrolls of papers with his writing on them. "I also created a small booklet with easy-to-follow instructions and illustrations on how to build it." Missandei grabbed his small pamphlet to see for herself, and it was exactly as he said. A ring-bound stack of paper with easy-to-read directions and accompanying pictures on its creation. Esser Barristan stepped over to the greenhouse and peered inside, where he was pleasantly pleased by the cold breeze. "Well done." He congratulated Naruto. "Thank you so much. The instructions may require some translation for individuals who cannot read, but they can be repeated. Building these throughout the city offers people with labor, a distraction, and some money." Naruto informed Daenerys, who nodded. "Now that that was done, I was planning on getting to work on the river nearby as well as taking a look around." "Are you certain about that? It will shortly be dark," Esser Barristan had forewarned him. "I'd rather not squander what little time I have. If Daenerys thinks I'm trustworthy enough to leave her city, I'll gladly go to work, but if she wants me to wait until daylight tomorrow so her Unsullied can keep an eye on me, then so be it," Naruto responded. "You may return to work tomorrow morning. Besides, I'd see you washed and invite you to join me for dinner. I have a few things I'd want to talk about with you," Daenerys informed him. "By all means, Your Grace." Naruto bowed his head and was led away by the Unsullied. "Are you sure you're sure about this?" Dario inquired, partly out of worry for her well-being, and partly out of jealousy. "The dinner is just a cover for me to learn more about him and get a better sense of who he is." As they returned to the pyramid, Daenerys stated. Naruto was taken back to the pyramid and shown the baths beneath it. He walked in and saw a vast stone bath that looked more like a pool but resembled the bath used by Brienne and Jaime in Season 3. The Unsullied stood guard at the door, and since it was just him, he set his bag down, removed his watch, gauntlet band, and clothes, and entered the hot water. "Ooh. That feels good," Naruto said as he settled in and relaxed when he heard someone step in, and it was Missandei with a towel and some clean clothes. "Here are some fresh clothes. We'll have your current ones washed," Missandei said as he set the towel and garments down and took his clothes. "At least I don't have to worry about them shrinking here," Naruto said as he dipped under the water and combed his spiky hair back. It was one of the few times he could comb it back and it would stay that way when wet. But it quickly rebounded back into its original spiky shape. He scrubbed away the sweat and dirt of the day's labor, then used the soap offered to make himself squeaky clean. When he stepped out of the water, he just vibrated his body and dried off quickly before putting on the clothes given, which was the most difficult part. It was similar to the first time a toddler had to clothe themselves. You know how it should appear, but getting there is the difficult part. Missandei was gracious enough to leave his sneakers, which was a positive, but they also didn't fit. He was wearing Nike running shoes and socks, but everything else was native. He managed to slip on a pair of brown-colored trousers that fit well enough when he tightened the laces and then put on a white tunic that was pleasant and breezy. After that, he was able to put on a brown surcoat, which was a medieval vest that reached all the way down his legs. An overcoat in the medieval style. He did his best to mend the suit, and it was a little loose, so it wasn't the best fit, but he made it work and looked presentable. Daenerys sat at a table in her rooms, where Esser Barristan, Dario, and Missandei, as well as other Unsullied, were waiting. She looked the role of a queen in her white gown and cape, sans the crown. There was food on the table that had been delivered from the kitchen, so all they needed was their guest. Soon after, two Unsullied entered the chamber with the honored visitor. Naruto stepped in, carrying his pack rather than carrying it on his back because it was dinner time, and fidgeted with the collar of his surcoat. Despite the fact that he looked good and was his usual gorgeous self, the others could tell he was uncomfortable in them. "I apologize for the delay, Your Grace. As you can see, these aren't my regular clothes," Naruto explained. "It's fine, the food just arrived," Daenerys said as she invited him to enter and take a seat at the table. "I really hope you're hungry." "Thank you," Naruto said curtly before settling in. He was aware that he was sitting with royalty on this planet, so he chose to be a little more polite and respectful in this situation rather than his regular easygoing self. Daenerys raised her glass as Missandei stepped up and poured them both a drink of wine. "Thank you for your help today," she thanked him. He raises his glass and cheers her before she takes a sip, but she notices he doesn't. "You don't drink?" "I do. It's just, drinking has lost its novelty for me," he said as he sipped his wine. "It wasn't all that horrible." "What exactly do you mean?" she inquired. "With my abilities come drawbacks and limitations. Nothing in life is free of consequence, even from the gods," Naruto replied, and she agreed. "One of those disadvantages is that my metabolism and appetite are much higher than average. Using my abilities requires a lot of energy, so I need to consume more than average to maintain them." "Is that why you were eating so much?" she said, to which he replied with a nod. "It is. Running all the way here built up an appetite, but it has its benefits. I can eat as much as I want and not gain weight, but I constantly need a large amount of food to keep my strength up," Naruto explained. "Alcohol doesn't affect me. I can drink as much as the heaviest drinkers on this continent and not get drunk. Not having a hangover is a plus." "I see. I'll make sure you have enough food during your stay here," Daenerys promised him. "Thank you, Your Grace, but I don't want to put too much strain on your kitchen or eat all of your supplies in one day. I have some ways of dealing with my hunger," Naruto told her. "Thank you again for this invitation, but I have the impression that this is as much about eating as it is about you learning more about me." Daenerys remarked, "You are very astute and observant. It comes with the territory. My mind is sharper than most, and fortunately, I use it for good," he said, taking another little sip of wine. "What specifically would you like to know?" "You said you were given these powers when you were struck by a bolt of lightning," Daenerys said, and he nodded. "I was. It was a rather powerful storm when that occurred, and when I went to take cover I was struck by a bolt of lightning. I should have died, but instead I was put into a deep sleep. That's when I began to see visions of what I could do and the powers the gods granted to me. It's where I was able to see the events of the past and the near future that I wasn't even involved with," he explained, making it up as he went but was doing a good job in selling it. "When I awoke, I discovered that I had certain abilities." "And where do you live?" Daenerys questioned. "Believe it or not, on a continent of land unknown to anyone here or in Westeros, because my home is beyond the horizon of what you know as the Sunset Sea," he replied, prompting genuine amazement from Daenerys and Ser Barristan. "You mean there's land and people past the Sunset Sea?" Ser Barristan couldn't believe it. "There is, but it's beyond the means of normal travel. I doubt even the greatest fleet and shipmasters could make the journey because of how far away it is," he stated, and they believed him. "The only reason I made it was because of my abilities. I could cover the entire Sunset Sea faster than any ship could hope to." Daenerys complimented him, saying, "Impressive." The two started eating their dinner, which included roasted veggies, bread, and what appeared to be lamb or goat. Naruto wasn't sure, but it didn't matter to him. Roasted beef was fine, and despite the lack of refined cuisine and spices at the time, it was nonetheless good. Since he gained his skills and faster metabolism, food has become less about taste and more about fuel. It makes eating less enjoyable when you consume so much of it. "Thank you. The abilities I gained took some getting used to. Learning what I could do wasn't instant and took some time. Just like anything, I had to learn what I could do and my limits before I could help people with my powers," Naruto explained. "I imagine Ser Barristan wasn't born to be a great warrior." "You'd be right on that. It was something I picked up after enough training." Ser Barristan pondered what kind of training he had received. "A different kind, but equally time-consuming. My speed has increased over time. I was much slower when I first got my powers compared to now, and with my speed, I've learned to use it in certain ways," he replied. "Such as?" Daenerys inquired. "There's nothing I could show you at dinner, but I've learned to channel my speed into my hands to break through stone and even throw the lightning I generate. I'd be happy to show you if you want, but outside would be a better idea, he said, and she agreed. So you trained your skills and then fled to Westeros? Daenerys inquired. Yes, but training took time. It took well over a year to learn what I could do and what I couldn't. You're probably wondering why I didn't show up sooner if the gods granted me these powers. He explained. Well, I was given these powers over 2 years ago and half of that was in a deep sleep. The other half was learning what I could do and helping those in my home country. You could call it experience. So, this isn't your first time coming to aid those in need? Interesting. And you helped your country's king and leader? Daenerys inquired. I was more local, he explained, mainly protecting the people in my city from those who would do them harm, criminals and such, making sure that their lives were better and they didn't have to worry about bad people taking advantage of them. Daenerys was pleased, and Ser Barristan could tell by the tone of his voice that he meant it and wasn't lying. With the help of some friends and family, I've kept the people of my city safe. You have friends? She said, and he nodded. No man is an island, and no single person can do anything alone. He pointed out, and she nodded. Well, I'm much the same. I've gotten this far and survived because of some very good people, including friends and family. You hold them in high regard, and they must mean a lot to you. If you know my history, you must know my complicated family history, Daenerys explained. I'm aware of it, but like father like daughter isn't set in stone. I believe that it's not just our family who shape who we are, but also our friends and allies, and you have some very good ones, he explained. I wouldn't have gotten this far without the help of my friends and my better half. Your wife? Daenerys inquired. No, not yet. Linda Park is her name, and without her, I can't even imagine where I'd be right now, he said. You love her, Daenerys murmured, remembering how she felt at the time. I think you'd like her. She's smart, clever, fierce, and has one of the strongest hearts I've ever seen in a person. She's helped guide me when my own heart and head led me astray, he said fondly. You miss her a lot, don't you? She inquired, and he nodded. Well, she sounds quite remarkable. Perhaps one day I'll meet her. Perhaps, though I imagine she'd find you most appealing if the two of you met, he acknowledged, drawing a shocked glance from Daenerys. She's frequently told me that she prefers those with blonde hair. While your hair isn't exactly blonde, I believe she would find you very attractive. This is meant as a compliment. Thank you. I think, she said. Naruto and Daenerys' supper and conversation continued. He told her more about himself and his past, albeit in abbreviated form, and the two had lovely conversations. Daenerys appeared to loosen up and relax a little more as the night progressed. When she spoke with Naruto, she could tell he was a good person, which put her at ease, if only little. Dario, of course, didn't like it and gave him death stares throughout supper, which he simply ignored. The supper had lasted a few hours, with additional food brought up and fruit served to complete the meal. Naruto recounted some of his previous adventures in Central City, but had to adjust the stories, such as claiming that gangs were rogue bandits who had quit plundering villages. Of course, he didn't mention any metahumans or anything. Daenerys was still interested. And that's how it's been back home. I helped my city, and then a few months ago I branched out, moving to other cities to help people, and that's when I was struck by visions involving you and others here, Naruto continued. That's what brought you all the way to meet me, Daenerys said. Can I ask, what did you see that would make you run all the way across the Sunset Sea to meet with someone you've never met and pledge to help them? I can answer, he said, but I'm not sure you'd believe me. Years ago, people thought dragons were a myth, but now they're back, and I've learned to believe in the unbelievable, Daenerys said. Fair enough, Naruto conceded. I saw something building up in Westeros beyond the wall, in the visions I saw about you and the others that revealed so much about you as well as parts of the future. Beyond the wall? You mean the wildlings? Ser Barristan inquired, but Naruto shrugged. Technically, yes, because Mance Rayder gathered a wildling army to march past the wall, but that's not what I was talking about. It's something further north that's been reduced to myths and legends. What do you know about the White Walkers? Naruto inquired. Daenerys was perplexed since she didn't understand what he was saying, but Ser Barristan did. It's just an old children's tale. Tales from the age of great heroes. Mystical creatures known as the White Walkers in the long night before the men of the North destroyed them. It's why they say the wall was built. To keep them out, but it's just a story. A legend, Ser Barristan stated. Most legends are based on truths, and they are not legends, Naruto continued. I saw them. If what I saw was true, ice demons and white walkers raising armies of the dead. Armies of the dead? Daenerys felt the whole idea was absurd. I know it sounds strange, but that's the truth, and it's why I came here, Naruto explained to her and Daenerys. To help prepare those who will be required to stand up to them. Are we even needed with what you can do? Sir Barristan wondered. I don't think even I could stop the White Walkers on my own, based on what I saw in my visions. Naruto took a minute to act nervous and fearful. In truth, it was all for show to help sell it. There are a few things in my life that I've been afraid of, and they are one of them. Forgive me, Naruto, she said, but you'll have to excuse me in my disbelief. You can't expect me to believe you without proof. Seeing what you can do is one thing, but how can I believe the White Walkers are real? Naruto considered showing her proof through his holograms, but opted against it for the time being. He wasn't sure if she would still believe him, but keeping her safe until she arrived in Westeros was critical. He just went along with it because those dragons would be crucial in combating the army of the dead. And I understand. My goal is to help you and the others navigate your obstacles until you are all needed, and when the time comes, you will be able to see the proof for yourself, he replied, chewing another grape before wiping his mouth. When he looked around the room, he noticed that the candles were mostly burned out, with several of them having been replaced. Thank you for a most auspicious dinner and conversation, but it is getting late, and I believe some sleep is in order. Thank you for your company. The Unsullied will return you to your room, she said. He stood up and saluted as he was led out of her room and back to his. She took another sip of wine and looked around after he left. What do you think? I still think the man is insane, Dario said. Sir Barristan stated, you just don't like him. He seemed rather sincere, kind, courteous, if not a little odd, Missandei said to Daenerys. 6 inches Sir Barristan. Daenerys inquired of him. The lad is odd, to be sure, but Missandei is correct. He seemed genuine and honest, which was something I rarely saw in King's Landing. Obviously, we can't confirm his origin or his home, but he seemed to be telling the truth, he said, and she nodded. But if he's lying, I hope it's about the White Walkers. Daenerys had a lot on her mind that night. She still had doubts and reservations about Naruto, but the supper appeared to alleviate some of them. She could feel genuine honesty, ease, dependability, and kindness just by speaking with him. Something she thought she'd never feel again. Who was he? She couldn't be certain, but she thought he was a decent man. To be continued.
That's it for this podcast and for listening to this video. I hope you did enjoy this part of the story, and if you did, like, share, and subscribe for more. And thank you all for helping support, and have a great day.